Hola, ¿cómo está? Mabuhay. This is Vanessa Bivens, and I'm here to discuss with you the teaching model that I chose for this particular homework, and that is an inquiry-based learning model. Now, by definition, it is a method that gives students a way to connect scientific ideas to their experiences and apply it into their learning. It is basically, let's put it this way, it is an amazing way to get the students excited, motivated, and engaged in their learning. Now, pause for a second and think in terms of when was the last time you had a very, very awesome lesson? Did your students discuss a question in a small group? What was the dynamic? What is the setup? Was it a whole class discussion? Did you introduce a new concept? Um, and most importantly, in what order did you introduce those components in your lesson cycle? Okay, what comes first, So part of the reason why you were wondering why I chose inquiry-based lesson is because I can definitely resonate with this one because it is truly a student-centered. It definitely boosts the student engagement. It is more than asking what the students wants to know. It is about triggering their curiosity. I am curious. And it also used as a model for tons of textbook out there. Okay, I have been in the profession for quite some time, and before Carnegie Math adoption that we recently had, we used Texas GoMath here, and Texas GoMath is actually an inquiry-based learning model approach, right? It is specifically 5E lesson cycle. Now, another program that we are using here in Houston ISD is basically the Imagine Math. This is an adaptive learning educational program where what it is that it starts with some probing questions, make them curious, make them explore, make them wonder. So that's part of the reason why I it's closest to my heart, and I definitely like to explore more on this one. Okay, so follow along with me as we go to the next part. All right, so the 5E instructional model is what I would like to dig deeper into. This is a framework for inquiry-based instruction. So let's start with engage. Engage basically is an activity focused on student attention. It stimulates their thinking and access prior knowledge. You will see here in the engage part of the lesson what the look how does it look like in a classroom, and what possible questions that the students might be asking in this particular part of the lesson. All right, explore. So on the explore, it is the activity which gives students time to think and investigate, test, make decision, problem solve, do a lab, use manipulatives, solve a problem, construct a model. So this is when they need to explore. Followed by that is an explain. Explain is the activity that allows students to analyze their exploration. Students' understanding is clarified and modified through a reflective activity. So this is where, for the most part, teacher will just prompt the students or explain the discussion that had happened prior to the explain piece. Of course, we will have the elaborate. Elaborate is the activity which expands and solidifies student thinking and or applies to the real world situation. This is where independent practice can happen, decision making will be made, experimental inquiry will be made, and then thinking skills will be very, very evident. Okay? And then, of course, the last piece of this one is the activity, which allows the teachers to evaluate or assess students' performance and understanding of concepts, skills, processes, and applications. So this is not a typical exit ticket part, because in here, what you are asking the students is to develop like a performance assessment, or use a rubric, or a product, a journal, a portfolio for this particular part. Now, you were probably wondering if what could be the potential pitfalls of this inquiry-based learning, right? Okay, so again, based from my experience in a classroom, and now that I'm a math specialist in our district, the students most of the time don't know when they have been successful. So in along the course of the activity, they don't know if they were on the right track until they get to a certain point. And some students will have lack of spark and initiative. Okay, they just don't want to know where to start. But then once curiosity sets in with a little scaffolding, they will be able to survive. Students have difficulties with collaboration and teamwork, predominantly in the middle school. They seem to just be quiet. They don't want to talk and participate, right? And lack of focus organization. Now, all of this came from Victoria, and I cite the source at the bottom, and she has a possible solution for all of these four common problems with the inquiry-based learning. So I would like to explore with you more about that one. Now, there's a bonus tip, of course, that I would like to just impart with you. Um, Inquiry learning, or planning for an inquiry-based learning, is fun, engaging, but it requires a lot of planning time. Okay, it has to be like structured in the way that it will make sense. It also requires the teachers to know the students inside and out, because then you can adhere to their interest. How would you make them curious about learning? Okay, how can you engage them? And then, of course, knowing what problems you might encounter um, in the inquiry based, like front load some of the things that may be a little mishap or bump along the way. But overall, as I have said, I had chosen this one because it's truly close to my heart. I lived with it for how many years I've taught, and it makes sense because the I don't act as a lecturer. I act as a facilitator of learning, probing them question, allowing the students to do a productive struggle so that they will learn from the from the structure, from the lesson cycle. Um, Now, you are probably wondering if this teaching model is aligned with any educational technology right now. As I've stated in my intro, yes, because again, a lot of resources out there, specifically in math, are in the 5E lesson format, inquiry-based approach. And also, I was wondering, like, if I'm learning new apps, new technology, I find it really, really empowering if I will just jump in and engage it and ask too many questions before reading the manual or the how to make it work. So for me, so going back to the teaching model, for me, the 5E lesson cycle is definitely helpful to build a sequence of coherent and engaging learning experience for students. It just merely challenging the students to be able to be an active participant in a classroom. I hope that you were able to get something out of my quick presentation. Talk to you soon. Bye. Stay blessed.